because to put this one into the condition that it really should be in is going to involve the expenditure of a substantial amount of money. And I think it's quite proper that the Senate would look into it. I understand that there's quite a little bit said up there today about the historical value of it. I talked with the directors of the Oklahoma Historical Society on other matters not very long ago, and that subject came up, and every one of them to a man said that they didn't think that the building was old enough to have any real historical value on it, and that if any change was contemplated in the future, that probably a change should be made now.
The Oklahoma State Senate today reached an undisputed low for the session as its members quibbled for 2 hours and 40 minutes about a resolution calling for an investigation of the use of the governor's mansion. The story began yesterday afternoon when Senator Walt Allen introduced a resolution asking that a 5-man Senate committee look into the possibility of using the vacant governor's mansion for some other purpose, or possibly continuing to use it as the dwelling place of the chief executive. The resolution passed. The governor then stated a few moments later at his press conference that it would be better in the long run to abandon the 32-year-old building as a mansion. Possibly, he said, it could be used as an office building. Apparently, several legislators spent the night fuming over the governor's words and felt that it was a backdoor attempt to get the Senate to abandon the historic mansion and build him a brand new official home. Debate raged in both houses on what was thought to be the governor's cavalier suggestion that the $75,000 house was not good enough for him. Representative John Levergood's reaction was typical. In the Senate, meanwhile, fists were being shaken, names were almost being called, and charges were hurled that the resolution had not been introduced in good faith. Clear heads then attempted to prevail. Keith Cartwright called the debate silly, idiotic, and uncalled for. He said, quite truly, that the people of the state would have a right to criticize the legislature if it spent its time on this when there were vastly more important matters up for debate. Senator Bob Bailey attempted to clear the air with the explanation that the governor had not instigated a move to get a new mansion, that the resolution had been all Senator Allen's idea. It would be good to say that this was the end of the debate, but it wasn't. In an effort to dispose of the resolution, to kill it, to get it out of the way for good, motions were made, substitute motions were made, and motions to table motions were made. The upshot of it was that the now infamous resolution to look into the governor's mansion has been tabled. For all practical purposes, it has been killed. A few nights ago, at a party for legislators and newsmen, one representative predicted that within 2 weeks it would be necessary to have all the desks of the members cleared of anything that could possibly be thrown around the chambers. It very nearly came to that today. The picayune nature of today's debate might be more graphically illustrated in dollars and cents terms. Based on the senator's hourly rate of $2.62, 2 hours of fruitless and irritating debate cost the taxpayers of the state $307.12. What price democracy?
I think that the announced decision to remain in Berlin, to hold our position in Berlin, is essential to the maintenance of our leadership of the free world. We cannot leave Berlin if we expect to continue to lead the free world in its battle for freedom.
Do you think war will eventually break out in this area, General Clay?
I would doubt it. I do not believe that either Russia or the Allies want war. Certainly our deterrent power at the present time is so great that it would seem foolish indeed for Russia to try to make a Berlin incident into a war. I think that they do want to frighten us, if that's the proper word, from using the higher altitudes. Obviously, a plane flying at the higher altitude has certain reconnaissance value that it does not have at lower altitudes. So they are attempting to make us fly at the lower altitudes. I don't like it, as I've said before, but I think you've got to recognize that we are living in a very tense situation, in a war of nerves, and treat it accordingly. I think that the summit conference, if there is one, will certainly relieve the present situation. We will probably go back to the status which existed prior to the Russian announcements. I doubt very much if there is any hope of a permanent solution of the Berlin problem being found at a summit conference.